Good morning, folks. I see they're already underway, or is this just warm up? My name's Colin Sheila with Kickin' Billiards, doing some commentary for EvoSports Streaming. This is the Weir Memorial 2024. We have Jason FROEHLING versus John MORRA. Great opportunity in this tournament for some of the locals to get to play some of the more prominent names in pool. Should be a lot of fun. I'm just getting set up here, so give me a minute. They have music in the background just so that they can override anything that's happening in the venue. I have no control over that.
Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
9-ball race to 7 on both the winner and the loser's bracket. Rack your own alternating break. It's played on diamond 7-footers with the 1 on the spot. The 2 is in the back. Free foul rule is in effect. And it looks like they had a calculation. This is coming to you live from the Golden Fleece in Everett, Washington. It'll be today and tomorrow. With the 1 on the spot, you're going to see a lot of those wing balls go in. The way John has it racked, you'll see the 7 and the 8. And he'll try and bring the cue ball up to the head of the table, or the 1 ball up to the head of the table. And play shape with the cue ball in that area as well, so that he can get a good start to the rack. Very common in 9-ball to break from that side cushion, although in the World 9-ball Tour, you'll see them with a break box. Rack number 1. And I believe it was the wing ball that went in. Should have been the 6 ball, but might not have been. No, it was the 2 caromed off the 6. Okay. Four, 5, 6 sequence will be a little bit interesting. And depending on how much room he has between the 9 and the 3, it could cause a little bit of problems keeping the cue ball clear. And somehow squeeze that cue ball between the 9 and the 3. He's just taking a look to see where he wants to be up here. For the 4 ball after the 3, you just roll this in. Cue ball will have a little bit of topspin on it. Go forward about 1.5 feet. About the middle diamond, maybe a little past it. Couple of different ways to get to the 5. You can play this with a little bit of bottom right on the cue ball and come back across. Or you can play it with top left and come around three rails. Looks like he's going around. That's going to be a little shy. Could be playing a safe, could be going for the bank corner. Wouldn't be surprised if he takes the bank on. But he elected to just play safe, and that cue ball is going to tuck in right behind the 8 ball. Great control from John MORRA. And now we'll see our first look at Jason FROEHLING. Nine ball looks like it might be in the road. He's probably playing this 2 rails, trying to kick in behind the 5 ball. Oh, he was able to shorten it up. Remember, these are 7-foot tables, so you're not going to see the distances that they have on the 9-foots. So even these longer shots really aren't that long. Well executed from John, and now just a back and forth, bottom right. Come from the bottom rail to the top rail and back towards the 8. Just wants to make sure he doesn't come short and get in behind the 8. Shouldn't end up coming that far, but does happen. And he played it with enough pace to make sure he wasn't going to get stuck behind the 8, but he's a little bit steep on the 7. The good part about this is that the shape will naturally go up and down table, and he'll have a decent look at the 8 as long as it doesn't go too far and he ends up past it where it is now, where the cue ball is now. Played that with a lot of right hand siding. Depending on the angle here, he should be able to just draw straight back. I can't really tell what the angle is, but looks like he's going to go forward. I can come down either side on this 9 ball. Doesn't make that much of a difference. Lands perfect. Bridging off the rail, but that's not a problem. You can still hit enough of the cue ball that you're not worried about a miscue or putting any unintentional swerve on the cue ball. So this is the EvoSports Streaming YouTube channel. They'll be bringing you 4 different tables all at the same time with different volunteer commentators like myself. Sometimes you'll have just 1, sometimes you'll have 2. And the cool thing about this is most of us are remote. I'm sitting in my office in Chilliwack, British Columbia, Canada. This is happening down in Everett, Washington. Alternating break. That'll bring Jason to the table. He's made the wing ball. Cue ball did park in the center of the table, but got kicked. He should still be all right. He's not that steep on the 1. He should still be able to cut it and hold up at this end of the table for the 2. A little bit of movement. The problem with 7-foot tables is it's a little bit tight. 9-foot tables, the shots are a little harder due to the distance, but you have more room to maneuver the cue ball. That's why 8-ball on the bar table is so difficult, is the congestion. Just wants the cue ball to come off the rail here. Doesn't really need to draw it back that far. Being able to cue the cue ball freely without being hindered by the rail can make it so much easier. And again, due to the angle he has here, he should be able to come straight back up through the center of the table, just missing the 5 and the 9. Wants to have a little bit of angle when he plays that 4. Yeah, he was a little worried about the shape, I think, coming inside the 5-9. Race to 7, the Don Weir Memorial. Three ball cuts to the side. Not sure what his angle's like. He may have to go forward and come back out for the 4. Might be able to hold it. It's a little difficult to tell. Looks like he's going to go forward. And the only thing he doesn't want to be is straight. You can still work with it. You'd just like a little bit of angle because it's easier to move the cue ball around. I think he wanted to come back a little farther. Just from where it's lying, it looks like it's 2 rails, maybe 3, so he can play that 6 in the side. But it's difficult to tell which corner he's cutting into. I think it's the top right instead of the bottom right, but it's a little bit tricky. No, he did go bottom right. With the side view of the table like this, it's a little tough to tell the angles. I thought that might have been a little close to the corner pocket for cue ball. Just draw that back out. Interesting fact about John MORRA, he used to play right-handed, but he developed some neck and shoulder problems and taught himself how to play left-handed. I believe he still breaks right-handed, but still pretty amazing to switch hands and still play at an almost 800 level. So John leads 2-0. Jason with a good opportunity in that last rack, just got a little funny on the 3 and tried to squeeze the position. Pushed the 3 into the end rail, let John back to the table, and off he went. A little Saturday morning pool. Racking with the wood rack can increase the variances between the racks, and that will change how consistent even the pros are with breaking. You put the template down and it eliminates all of that. But 7-foot 9 ball on the 7-foot is a little bit easier. and making them wood rack or hand rack adds a little bit of variance to it, so it's a little bit tougher. They can't be as picture perfect on their break. So 3 ball to the bottom right corner. John breaking from the right side this time. And he is breaking right-handed. There's the 3. He's brought that cue ball a little bit too far back into the corner. So close to the 1. You've got to watch the double hit here. So he'll probably elevate, bring the butt of the cue way up into the air to try and hit this harder without double hitting it. I believe it does go in that bottom right corner. He's going to try and just get some distance. I don't believe he's trying to make it now. He's just going to send this down towards the 6. Try and keep the cue ball in behind that 7. I think Jason has part of the 1. A little tough to tell from here. If he can see the 1, I'm not sure he'll be able to see enough to make it. You have to see quite a bit of that ball. Maybe going for his jump cue. That brings that into play. The 2 ball kind of helps, kind of hurts. It makes the right-hand side of the pocket a little bigger because he could go rail first off of it, but he is taking a little bit of the left-hand side of the pocket away. I didn't see which cue Jason had in his hand. It is his jump cue. Some of these guys are amazingly proficient. Oh, makes the 1. The 2 ball did help, but straight off the 1 past the 9 in the corner. That'll give John a 2-9 with ball in hand. And most likely another game onto the scoreboard. So rack number 4, Jason FROEHLING will be breaking. It is alternate break, race to 7, 9 ball, 1 in the spot, 2 in the back. So rack number 4. I believe Jason is switching sides as well. So you can watch the 7 heading for the corner. 1 ball will come close to that top side pocket. He's made the 7. Left the cue ball down table though. You generally want to get the cue ball into this area. Depending on which side you're breaking from and you expect the 1. I would have expected the 1 to be more on this area. So you're trying to draw the cue ball into this area. So in 9 ball, if you are hooked after the break, which means you cannot see the lowest ball on the table, there is an option shot called a push shot. He must declare it and let your opponent know that you're not trying to make the ball, and then you can basically push the cue ball anywhere you want on the table. And as you see there, Jason's made the 9 in the corner, just trying to rule out any sort of 3-9 carom combination and trying to eliminate the early win for John. And normally that would be a foul and John would get ball in hand. He could pick up the cue ball, place it anywhere he wants on the table. But because it's a push shot after the break, John now gets the option as to whether to accept the table as it is, or he can give it back to Jason, so that you can't just hook your opponent and force him to deal with it. If you accidentally hook your opponent, he can hand it back to you, and it looks like that is exactly what John has done, is handed it back to Jason. And he'll take a little walk around the table to review his options. I think he had a plan in mind when he declared the push shot, which you should. There's usually an objective you're trying to do. I know a lot of the top players will push out into jump shots that they think they can make or that their opponent can't make. Sometimes it's just a tough leave where you're going to force the person into a safety. I think Jason's going for the cut on this. No, just the safety. Doesn't want that 1 to find the window, but it has. John able to get that cue ball right between the 9 and the 2 to play the 1 in the corner. A wide open table from there. With the 7-foot table and the way this is lined up, I mean, you usually want an angle to move your cue ball around a little better, but it doesn't have to be much of an angle. John can roll forward into the end rail, come right back up between the 9 and the 3. The only thing he doesn't want to do is he doesn't want to get short. He doesn't want to get below this line. He wants to make sure he comes past it. Lots of distance there, no issues. One of the keys to moving your cue ball around is to make sure you stay on the correct side of the pocket line. See, and John would have preferred to have been a little bit further this way with the cue ball on that 4, because that makes it easier to move the cue ball to the opposite direction, the left side, get a little bit less angle on the 5. It's not going to be an issue. He's able to thin the 5 in and hold the cue ball there. And this is all personal preference as to how you want to move the cue ball. Probably just 1 rail down, but he might go 2. Trying to hit this area here. Got to watch that side pocket though. It's a rarity for those the higher level professionals to do that, but it still happens. And Jason's going to get on the board, ball in hand with just the 9 ball left. Can't get complacent though. Every single person out there that's played pool for any length of time has missed a ball in hand. And that would be the most unfortunate timing. So John leading 3-1. He'll break in rack number 5. This is the Weir Memorial 2024 edition, put on by Jason Weir, sponsored by Q-Tech, Lux. I believe that's Jason Weir's company. They make electric golf carts. Very, very nice ones. Mucci and Windows Open. Everybody knows Windows Open. Molina Mike, Joey Ryan with their Dog It Up podcast. Rack number 5. So watch the 2-ball here. This is why you put the 2-ball at the back. Most of the time it will end up by the 1 up at the other end of the table. Little bit of a funny break there. I can tell that's a miss hit because that cue ball jumped right off the rack towards the side pocket. And with a player of John Morra's caliber, that does not happen often. A little bit of a consequence of a breakdown in his process there. And the hand rack also makes this a varied table. There is a rule in 9-ball called the 3 foul rule. If you can get your opponent to foul 3 consecutive times, you will win the game. You must warn them when they are on 2. If they have fouled twice and they're coming to the table or to play their 3rd shot in a row and you do not warn them, then they are still on 2. And while that might have been a little close to the side pocket for Jason's comfort, it doesn't go down, and John has a very awkward 1-rail hit to this 1. And he's looking at the 2-rail thinking he might be able to get it 2 rails, but that really brings the 6-ball into play. And can he get around the 8? I think he's just going to go 1 rail. Somewhere about here. And then he's trying to just touch the 1. He doesn't even want the 1 to bounce past the 5. And just leave Jason a difficult shot. It's very slow. It's going to hit the 5 first. Even though he's fouled, though, he hasn't left Jason anything to work with other than another attempt at a safety. See if he can get John Morra on 2. The difficulty here is that 5 is stuck to the 1. So even if Jason can thin the 1 and get the cue ball down table, he's going to open up the 1. So his option here is to probably come across table and try and get that cue ball in behind the 6 and I think that was the 3, right? Can't tell if he's putting any left on that or just straight or right. If he's thinning that 1 to play safe on the other side of the 5, he's got to hit it absolutely perfect to keep the 5 close and get the cue ball in behind the 5. He has not done so. He's left John the 1. John will thin this just a little bit. He's going to leave a shot, but he doesn't want it to open up too much. So now he's back on 0s. The 3 foul rule is gone at the moment, for the moment. And Jason back to the table with very little to work with. The 1 ball is deep past the 5. So if the 1 ball was even sitting another 1/2 inch out further, he might be able to thin it with the cue ball, send the cue ball down table, and still leave the 1 there. But if he tries that now, he's going to clip the 5. Both the 1 and the 5 will move, and it's likely he'll leave a shot at it. So he's just going to thin this really thin. Try and get the cue ball across to the other side of the table. Now, John will probably try and cut this 1 ball over to here and leave the cue ball in here. Not sure if that line is possible, but might be an option. Gotta watch the cue ball. I thought that was going to drop for a second. I think Jason's looking at coming in behind and kicking the one, but I think I like hitting this as straight as you can and then just bringing the cue ball down table and leave the one ball up here. You're just rolling it. The cue ball's going to have speed. He tried to cut the one ball to the other side of the 5, but if that 2 ball doesn't get in the road, he's going to leave John an opportunity. One thing hampering this opportunity is the fact that that cue ball is on the rail. So John's going to have trouble coming back for the 2, especially with the angle of approach that he has towards the 1. He's got to wait for the other player on the right-hand side of our screen. I can't tell what kind of angle he has on this. Yeah, it's so straight. He's jacking up, elevating the butt of the cue, trying to get some backspin on this cue ball so it at least stops after making contact with the 1. Not only did he stop it, he overdrew it. It's tough to judge those. It's not like you sit there and practice those every day. And he probably hit it a little bit more pure than he was expecting. Fairly makeable bank side. Or is he going to cut that in? I think it looks like he's cutting it in. Cutting it in gives the cue ball a little bit more speed to come around the table. And he should be somewhere in here when he's done. Little farther than he wanted. Can still make it work though. He's going to have a bit of a longer shot on the 5. Is really the consequence of this. Does make the 3 ball a little harder. Little bit of right-hand siding just to make sure you avoid this bottom side pocket. Little too much. Jason back to the table with an opportunity to get back within 1. Convenient spot for the 8 ball. Not sure what kind of angle Jason has here. I think he has enough angle to come straight back out there for the 6. Again, angle helps you move your cue ball and might end up going straight and playing the short side. Yeah, it was a little bit of a funny angle, I thought, to try and play short side. But it might also have been a little difficult to play it to the other side of the table with not enough angle. So a thin cut. I think if you play this with a little bit of left-hand spin, makes the shot tougher, but you can come down 3 rails and play the 7 in the bottom right corner pocket. Looks like he's playing top right, and you can roll this and try and hold the cue ball there. Might wreck on the 8. Oh, did not see that coming. Had a lot of right-hand spin on that and a lot of speed. John just coming out to the center of the table. little bit of top left, spin it down table. You don't have to. It's a 7-foot table. It's not that much work to go around there. And there it is. John leading 4-1. Some other notable players in this weekend's tournament would be Corey Deuel, Tony Chohan, Rob Sayes, Spencer Ladden, who finished second last year, to SVB, the eventual winner, Chris Reinhold, and Rich Geiler, Richie the Hat. Always dressed well. I read an article. Gosh, where was it? I think I still have it. It was on Legends of North American Pool. Gosh, I can't remember where I read it, but it mentioned a lot of the guys around the United States in the last 30 years that have been playing pool, and there was one on this Sands Regency 9-ball Open from the 80s, which Rich had played in. Jason's made the 8, but he's lost the cue ball down table again. Likely another push, as that 6 ball is blocking the 1 entirely. Some problems with a 9 ball on the 7-foot that you don't normally see is on a break. After the break, you see these little clusters here that he's gonna have to deal with. Just gonna push it to the rail. Now, if John has enough room, he can play rail first, going past the 6. He'll have to play that 2-5 combination. Doesn't matter who's at the table. And he's given it back to Jason. I think Jason's intent of putting that cue ball a little closer to the rails, it does make the jump shot a little easier because you can get your bridge hand up a little higher. Gives you a little bit more room to follow through, so it's a little easier to get the ball up in the air. It's going to be one heck of a shot if you can pull this off. Nicely done, sir. Can he follow it up with the 2-5 combination? Made a nice combination, kept control of the 2 ball. A little close to the side pocket with the cue ball, but it's going to work. He now just needs to sort out the 4 ball. It's not the worst position in the world, but it's not great. 4 ball will go in the side. So somehow he's got to play the 2 and then get position on the 3 to get over there for the side. I think trying to break the 4 ball out from this angle is going to be a little bit too much of a task. Doesn't have the right angle. Trying to power it up, you're likely going to wreck the cue ball on the 9. Might have enough. Well, he did hit the 9, but he also got the 4 ball moved. It might actually be in a worse position, which is horrible luck for Jason. Depending on his angle on the 3 ball here, he could draw into the side rail and spin into the 4. But your odds of making that and landing with a shot on the 4 aren't great. Might be your best play, though, and it looks like he's gearing up to play this with a little bit of bottom left. Draw into the side rail and try and kick that 4 off that side rail. Does it go to the side? Because he certainly didn't play that with the intention of breaking it out. That must go to the side. Actually, it doesn't have to go to the side. He can play a very simple safety here and just knock the 4 ball up table, leave the cue ball stuck in behind the 7, which is exactly what he was playing for right from the get-go. So John to the table. Looks like he's looking at the 1 rail kick up and down. He'll try and make this bottom right. Going to be tough cueing over top the 7 ball. Very easy to get some unintentional side spin on this. Could miss that 4 ball entirely. Didn't miss it. He almost made it. That was not far off. Some other local players that are going to be there as well. Some other notable local players. And pardon me if I don't mention your name, but Dan Louie, Stephen Weekly is from up here as well, or the Pacific Northwest. Stan Tarancho from up here in British Columbia, Canada. Damien Pongpanic. Daniel Sardensillo. James Devi and Jeff Beckley. Jason with his second rack. Gets halfway back. 4-2. We'll be back in just a minute, folks. It looks like they've taken a bit of a break. Maybe one of them needs to refresh. Kind of like I had to go get a coffee just there. So if you're just joining us, this is the Don Weir Invitational 3rd annual 9-ball event. It's $15,000 added guaranteed. It's a 9-ball race to 7 on both the winners and losers bracket. Rack your own alternate break on diamond 7-footers, the 1 on the spot, 2 on the back. 3 foul rule is in effect. And play started today at 10 a.m. It's going to run today and tomorrow, and it's coming to you from the Golden Fleece on Colby Avenue in Everett, Washington. Sponsored by Q-Tech, Mucci, Lux, and Windows Open. John MORRA breaks when the score is even. It is alternate break, like I just said. So we're just waiting for John to return to the table. Rack up and break. He leads 4-2 in this race to 7. Other matches going on. I had this up just a little while ago. There it is. Cody Clark is playing Shane Van Boning. Joe Peterson versus Stephen Weekly. Dan Louie versus Carissa Biggs. Bruce Willett and Dylan Carroll. Philip Prentice playing Rob Sayers. Stan Tarantula is facing Dennis Wilkinson. Tony Chohan will be playing Larry Mays. Ed Hobbs versus Rich Geilard. I think that's going on right now. We don't have any live scores reported. See if we can refresh that and get a live score report. They don't have live scoring, but they will be entering them, of course, as they go. So, rack number 7. John scratched in that bottom side pocket on the last rack. We'll see if he can avoid that. Still makes the 3, also made the 5. One ball caught a funny kick. I don't know for whether it hit the horn or hit another ball, but it's ended up on the down half of the table. John's not upset about that. If he can get from the 2 to the 4 after making this 1, which shouldn't be an issue, just cut the 2 in the side and bounce back off the rail 6-8 inches and he's good to go. So nice wide open table for John. Just needs to execute. Which I would say he is highly likely to do. You know, even for the higher caliber players, anytime you're having to go up and down table a lot, for example, you're going from the 6 to the 7 to the 8, not overly hard positional shots, but because of the distance, it can add a variable in there, or maybe you come up a little light, or you go too far and then you're having a thinner cut on the 8. And every little mistake can compound. There's room for that 6 to go past the 9. I suspect John will just draw out of this. Bringing the cue ball off this side here. Maybe somewhere over there. And trying to get up into this zone for the 7 ball. Does not want to be straight on the 7 ball. And he won't be. He's got great angle to come down. Perfect for the 8. This comes down to a little bit of personal preference. I think coming down to this area is a little less risky simply because you don't have a chance of getting in behind the 9, even though that's a small target. You do have to watch you don't scratch in the corner, but he played that for the second rail. They make it look so easy. Slim, yes, I will post that bracket in the chat. I should have done that already. My apologies. You'll have to copy and paste that into your browser, Slim, but yep. Hey, cue ball control. Sorry, I wasn't keeping up with the chat, folks. I will try and do better now. The dexterity of the bridge hand. You know, for me, it's just trying to mirror everything. It feels so unnatural that trying to cleanly stroke a ball feels very awkward. Rack number 8. Oh, Jason got a little fortunate there. He'd made a ball off the break, but that cue ball was headed right for the heart of that top side pocket when it got kicked. I think it was the 7 ball or the 2 ball? 3 ball, actually. That saved the cue ball, knocking it out of the way. Well, Jason's a little awkward on the 2 now. May end up trying the... Well, he's looking at the cut in the side now. I don't mind the bank back to that top left corner. But he's going to go for the cut in the side, try and bring the cue ball around 3 rails and hit that window. Get that cue ball in between the 9 and the 6. And by get it in between, I mean he's trying to end up over here. Which I think he did a fairly decent job. I think he would have seen that 4. Yeah, that's generally what they call us, Slim. Can't tell if that 2 goes past the 4 for John or whether he's playing the combination. Might be playing a safety. Yeah, he tried to smooth it in there. That is John's nickname. At least I think it's his nickname, isn't it, Mr. Smooth? Second highest rated player in Canada, I believe. Rated, ranked 64th in the world from Fargo rate. Man, there's so many top level players these days. That's actually going to help Jason out a little bit. Because now you can cut the 6 in, just go back and forth across the table. Don't want to draw too much. You do not want to come back on this. You can scratch in the corner if you do, and he's going to float the 6 down the table, hang it up in the corner pocket, and a great opportunity for Mr. MORRA to get on the hill. Alex Pagulayan, the only other Canadian ranked higher than John MORRA. and he's at 28th on the top 100 Fargo list. A little close to his work. Gets it done. Looked like a little bit of a hesitant stroke there. Didn't quite get everything he wanted on the cue ball. He's probably concerned about the double hit. It's easy to do from there. Natural shape to the 9. And to get on the hill, John MORRA will put that 9 into the bottom side pocket. Jason FROEHLING running out of time. At a 609 Fargo, he's a decent player in his own right. I think I read somewhere that for every 100 points somebody is above you, you would get like half of the race as a handicap. So if you're racing to 20, you're 600, you're playing a 700, you should get 9 or 10 games on the wire. The more accurate, the longer the race, the more accurate that would be. And for a chance at breaking and running out the last rack of the match, or what could be John's last rack of the match, one in the side. Cue ball got kicked up table, but John is going to be able to see the 2. A little tricky for the 3. You're not going to be able to do too much. Your angle coming off that 2 is close to this general side pocket. So you're going to want to go forward and across and end up somewhere over there. Obviously not right on the rail, but you know, somewhere like that would be pretty nice. And a little bounce off the rail. That'll work. If he's got too much angle on the 3, he can come across for the top side pocket. But right now, I expect him to just kind of draw into that side rail and stay between the 7 and the 4. Kind of checked on him there. Didn't roll towards the 7. Came into the rail at an angle, but it had some spin on it, so it kind of died. Still a cut to the side or to the center pocket is available. I think he's looking at a cut to the bottom left corner pocket as well. This is probably the better angle, a little bit easier of a shot for him. Plus he gets that cue ball down around the 6. It's going to have some speed on it with that thin of a cut. Plays it perfect. It'd be nice to see him end on a run out, although I'm sure Jason would love a miscue here or something. Small mental lapse by John right now would be the only thing his opponent can hope for. And again, just roll this 8 ball in, get the cue ball away from a pocket. And Jason knows John's not going to miss that, so he'll give up that rack, and John MORRA will advance 7-2 over Jason FROEHLING. That should... Let's see who John plays next. Just trying to find it on the bracket here. Yeah, so it's down at the bottom of the bracket. That was match 31 of the first 32 matches. And that next match will be Jeff Beckley versus Alex Kjorling. Jeff a 722 Fargo. Alex at 580. So good luck to John and good luck to Jason on the B side. And we will be back in a little while with another match. In the meantime, you can continue to watch all of these matches. There are 4 tables going live almost constantly today on the EvoSports Streaming YouTube channel. Thanks very much for being here. Okay. Hey, thanks, Cuball. I will double check that for next time. I think it actually randomly assigns them when you log in. But that's a good note. I could ask them to remove that color because it was kind of dark, wasn't it? Or it kind of blended in a little bit. It was kind of a green, but blended into the cloth. More of a red or a black, something that had more contrast there would be better. Thanks very much, folks. We'll see you on the next one. I believe I will be back to commentate at 11:30, and that'll be Ryan Rosen versus Corey Duell, the Prince of Pool. Thanks very much, folks. Keep following along. We have more matches ongoing. Right now, Aaron Moss versus Jason Weir. Don Weir's son is putting the event on. Ed Hobbs versus Rich Geiler is on. I think they only had the 3 tables this morning. They've got, it's only 3 tables. I thought there were going to be 4, but there's only 3 tables. Other matches on the agenda for today are Aaron Rodgers versus Daniel Sardansillo at 11:30.